Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and glue sticks. Take down that picture. We got a real glue stick this time. I am Chains. Welcome to the Chains Project. Today's story is the story of Adam's descendants to Noah and his children. Genesis chapter 5, verse 1 to verse 32. We are in for one hell of a thrill ride. Buckle your seatbelts, folks. This is a list of the descendants of Adam. When God created humankind, he made them in the likeness of God. Male and female, he created them. And he blessed them and named them humankind when they were created. When Adam had lived for 130 years, he became the father of a son in his likeness, according to his image, and named him Seth. The days of Adam after he became the father of Seth were 800 years, and he had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days that Adam lived were 930 years, and he died. When Seth had lived for 105 years, he became the father of Enosh. Seth lived after the birth of Enosh for 807 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days of Seth were 912 years, and he died. When Enosh had lived for 90 years, he became the father of Kenan. Enosh lived after the birth of Kenan for 815 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days of Enosh were 905 years, and he died. When Kenan lived for 70 years, he became the father of Mahalalel. Kenan lived after the birth of Mahalalel for 840 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days of Kenan were 910 years, and he died. When Mahalalel had lived for 65 years, he became the father of Jared. Mahalalel lived after the birth of Jared for 830 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days of Mahalalel were 895 years, and he died. When Jared had lived for 162 years, he became the father of Enoch. Jared lived after the birth of Enoch for 800 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days of Jared were 962 years, and he died. When Enoch had lived for 65 years, he became the father of Methuselah. Enoch walked with God after the birth of Methuselah for 300 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Enoch were 365 years. Enoch walked with God, then he was no more, because God took him. When Methuselah had lived for 187 years, he became the father of Lamech. Methuselah lived after the birth of Lamech for 782 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Methuselah were 969 years, and he died. When Lamech had lived for 182 years, he became the father of a son. He named him Noah, saying, "Out of the ground that the Lord has cursed, this one shall bring us relief from our work and from the toil of our hands." Lamech lived after the birth of Noah for 595 years, and had other sons and daughters. Thus all the days of Lamech were 777 years, and he died. After Noah was 500 years old, Noah became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Just a terrible dream about a long lineage of terrible boringness that was written in a book. Wait, that actually happened. Alright, I'm trying to explain this. Out of here, pillow. But to do this, like always, I'm going to need a chart, so, right up there. Thank you very much there. Chart so useful. Alright, let's start all the way at the top. As always, we can start off with the best man ever, Adam. I'm probably not even pointing to the right area. And so then Adam has a kid named Seth, and Seth has a son named Enosh, and Enosh has a son named Kenan, and then Kenan has a son named Mahalalel. I hope I said that right, I don't know. And then Mahalalel has a son named Jared, the subway guy, and then Jared has a son named Enoch, and then Enoch has a son named Methuselah, and I hope I'm saying that one right too, because I don't know how. And then Methuselah has a son named Lamech, and then Lamech is like, I am having the best son ever. Enter Noah. Hell yeah. And then Noah has 3 kids named Shem, Japheth, and Ham. I think he just really liked his pet pig and decided to name him a son. Now, you'll notice some repeats up here is Enoch and Lamech. They're here again. It's a double repeat. I don't know why. They should be different people. They're from completely different families. One's from Cain, the other one's from Seth, so they should be. And pretty much, it's this very long, boring thing about how they had a bunch of babies too, but they didn't name them because the only important ones were the ones that were named, and they lived for a ridiculously long period of time, and Noah's the cool guy out of all of them. And hopefully I did my math right, and this whole thing happens in approximately 1,556 years. Hopefully I carried the 2 and my calculator was not in radians. First thing is first, I'm pretty sure many of you noticed we don't really live to 900 years old that much anymore. Actually no, I think we don't, no. Our average lifespan is approximately around 80 years, give or take a decade. So how the hell did Adam and all of his kids pull this off, living for ridiculously ludicrous periods of time? Well, there's some very interesting explanations for this. I'm going to start out with the most plausible explanation for this, is that A symptom known as Werner's syndrome, which just causes you to age faster, is what plagued the original people, and it eventually got weeded out. Hopefully, that is what should have happened, because if we all still had it, we would all be very old and ugly. The second one is that we stopped being vegan, because in Genesis 1:29, it says that God tells us to eat of the fruit of the trees and stuff, but not really of the animals. So an argument is made that because we left the garden and we started eating animals, we started to take in bad things like bacon, which I don't see that as being logical at all. Bacon is amazing. It makes you live forever. You can eat bacon every day, right? And also on the eating note is that apparently we have began eating less, and we're taking in less calories, which causes us not to be able to live as long for some reason. Another explanation is of the Vela supernova, which happened sometime between 30,000 years ago and 10,000 years ago. It was a supernova from a while ago, and its cosmic radiation has been hitting Earth and kind of influencing on life, because we do take that in. It's not extremely deadly, but it can damage cells and other important things and make us not live as long, and that's another explanation used. Now, this cosmic radiation isn't just hurting us, it's also damaging the atmosphere, and because of this it's creating something called a reactive oxygen species, which is aka mean air, which is a certain small amount of the oxygen atoms that are out there are actually mean and hate you, and when you breathe them in, they're actually like punching your cells and beating them up for some reason, because I guess they owe them money, and that's slowly killing you more than back when Adam and all his guys were hanging out and they just had a good time with the air and they were like best friends. And the most ludicrous scientific explanation of which I could find is that God decided to tweak our DNA and RNA so that we aged less, just because he really hated Adam. Now, if you'll note, almost everybody lives for over 700 years, besides Enoch, who gets a special VIP pass to go hang out with God, and Noah, but his story isn't done yet. He just started, so we can't really say that. And most people say, I don't know anything that lives that long. That's ridiculous. And so I went looking for stuff that is older than 700 years old on Earth. I found 3 things that fit that category. The first thing is an Antarctic sea sponge, which lived for 1,550 years before we decided to get our hands on it and kill it and see what the hell's going on. Another thing is a tree called the Jerupa oak tree, which is approximately 13,000 years old. And the last thing doesn't have exactly an age. It lives for infinite. It's a small jellyfish about the size of your pinky fingernail, and it's able to regenerate itself. I'll leave a link down below because it just blew my mind. So for all we know, the jellyfish are actually now God. Now that we have all the weird science and fun facts out of the way, let's get to explaining what the story is trying to tell you, because it's not just a big boring lecture of your family tree all over again, but somebody else's family, which is much boring. So what it's saying is it's pretty much explaining how all this time went by and we didn't really have anything really recorded of what was going on. Because when the people first began writing the Bible, they didn't write it at the very start. Even creationists will say that Moses made it, and Moses doesn't show up until later. So this chapter is kind of explaining that huge gap in time between the Cain murdering Abel and what happens next. Tune in next week. It's going to be awesome. And then what happens there is it's saying, okay, well, it wasn't just silent forever. There was stuff going on, and we use this large gap of time to explain what happened. Is just they were getting ready for the big party. It's also showing the farther spread out of human civilization. As it noted, is that everybody has more than just one son. They only just name one for some reason, because it's their favorite. And they just have multiple sons and daughters, and they're going everywhere, and it's just ridiculous. And it's just a huge spread out to eventually explain all these cities and stuff that's popping out. Because with 900 years of just Adam, that's a long time, and that is a lot of baby making and building making and food making and eating and pooping. Well, that is all the fun that I could pull out of this boring section of the Bible. Hopefully you're entertained and are not sleeping. Hey, wake up. It's over. You can go home now. So I'm Chains. If I totally screwed something terribly up and you hate me, or you think I was awesome, or you found something else that's really, really old, it's cool, send it to me. I don't want to see your rock collection. Rocks don't count anymore, because I vetoed them out when they were like, this rock's 400, this rock is 1,000,000, this is Earth, it's a rock. Stop telling me these things, Internet. And I was working on an outro, but I had to wax my toe hair